Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. We're so excited about this one because if you were in our last copywriting webinar, it was actually one of our top rated webinars we've ever had. So shout out Lyle, she was on that one. So we knew we had to do it again. And this time we're doing it for ads. And we had to bring in another expert. Jonathan is here with us today. So we're very excited. We have two experts here with us. So excited to go over everything today. But while we wait for everyone to join, let me know in the chat where you're joining from. And then I also have another question for you. Before the webinar started, I was telling them how I have so many spiders in my basement and I don't know how to get rid of them. So if anyone has any tips for getting rid of spiders, please share it in the chat because I feel very on edge right now because I saw a very big one.
We're hoping that someone is a social media manager for like an exterminating type business. Alyssa traumatized us with her
Yeah.
spider stories right before we started. So we really need help on that. Please and thank you.
Oh, I'm seeing some peppermint oil. Okay. Love that. I did not know that. Oh, hello from Hamilton. I am also in Hamilton. Put them outside, they eat mosquitoes. That would require me catching it, which I'm a little scared to do. But we'll see. I can try it. Perfect. This is great. Thank you everyone for all of the tips. I will be trying them immediately when this is done. So thank you all very much. Awesome. Well, we will get right into it today because we have a lot of good stuff to cover. So we're going to do a quick round of intros. So my name is Alyssa, and I'm a community manager here at HeyOrca. So I work on our webinars, our newsletter, Facebook group, all that good stuff. And I will pass it over to Lyle.
Hello, I'm Lyle and I am a copywriter here at HeyOrca. And before I was doing this, I worked as a social media manager. And I also spent a couple years basically like exclusively writing Facebook ads. So hopefully I can give you some inspo and some tips today. And also, if you are a Facebook ads expert, please let us know your best tips in the chat because I'm always down to learn new things. We all are. So that'd be awesome. And next is Jonathan.
Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan. I'm the paid ad specialist at HeyOrca. I just started 2 months ago, so I haven't been here very long.
Yay.
But prior to that, since 2015, I've been a social media manager and a paid ads manager at my previous companies. So hopefully I can bring lots of value to everyone here today, and we'll have a good time together.
Awesome. Yes, thank you for joining us, Jonathan. This is his very first webinar with us, so we're very excited. And if this is your first webinar with us, I have some good news. We love to do giveaways. So we have 2 ways to win an Amazon gift card. So the first way to win is head over to our LinkedIn. We actually have a poll going on right now. So the question is, social media managers, what are you responsible for? Organic posts, paid ads, or both? So head over to that poll, vote on it, and then tomorrow at noon, I will be choosing a winner from that. And then the second way to win is I'd love to hear what you learned from our webinar today. So this one, this giveaway goes all the way until Tuesday at noon, because I know for myself, when I write a LinkedIn post, it takes me a while to write it. So you have till Tuesday to post on LinkedIn. Let us know what you learned in the webinar today. You can tag us, and I will be randomly selecting somebody for that Tuesday at noon. And a little tip, there are some slides during this presentation that are perfect slides to screenshot. And that can help with the LinkedIn posts. So I'll call them out when they come up to help you out a little bit. But yeah, those are the 2 ways you can win. So definitely check it out. All right. So like I said, we have so many things to go over today. So I am now going to pass it over to Lyle.
Woo! Okay, the agenda is so simple, as you can see. I'm going to go over some of my weird and wonderful copywriting tips for ads. Then Jonathan's going to hit us with his expert paid ads insights. And then if we have time, we'll do a Q&A session. But like Alyssa said, if you have questions throughout, you can pop them in the chat and then she'll sort of monitor those. Okay, let's get started. Just so we're all on the same page, because I know we definitely have some beginners here today. I just want to cover or answer the question, what the heck are we talking about here? So today, we're primarily looking at these parts of the ad. So this is just a random ad off of Facebook. So we're going to look at the body copy / like the caption, the headline, and a little bit, we'll spend like a tiny bit of time on the description text as well. Of course, you can also have copy in your like media creative. Like if you're using a single image or a video, you can have text there. So you can still apply some of these tips to that part of your ad, but primarily we're going to be covering these parts with the arrows there.
And we have a comment here from Kristen. Ah, yes, the memes are back.
I tried to put some memes in there. Yay. Okay, I'm glad you like the memes because I do too. I can't do a presentation without them. Okay, basic ad structure. There are so many different formulas you can follow to write your ads. So when I go over, I'm just going to go over one. Don't think that this is the only one and the be all end all, but it definitely is a good like tried and true formula that you can use to write an ad. So if you're an expert and you kind of like have writer's block, this is a good thing to turn to. And of course you can use this if you're a beginner as well. Okay, so it looks like this. And it's called the AIDA formula. It stands for attention, interest, desire, action. And I did not come up with this. If you're a marketer, you've most likely 100% seen this before. It's a formula that's been around since 1898, and it was developed by Elmo Lewis. So I'm not taking credit for this one. But basically what you want to do when you're writing an ad using this formula is start off the top with an attention-grabbing hook. You already know what that is. And then you're going to move into the interest component. You want to think about, why should your reader keep reading? What problem do you solve? Then you move into desire. So you want to think about your readers or your target audience's core desire. What's the one thing they wish for, or 2 or 3 things they wish for, they really want to accomplish or have in their life? And then action, super simple. It's your CTA. Tell them exactly what you want them to do. So if we look at an ad that I just pulled randomly for Rocket Money, I hear, this is totally a tangent, but I hear about Rocket Money all the time on podcasts. I don't know if we have it in Canada, but if you have used Rocket Money before, let me know in the chat because I'm very curious about it because I hear about it all the time. But if we break down this ad here, you'll see highlighted in pink at the very top, that's the attention component, that's their hook. And it says, yes, you have subscriptions you've forgotten about. For me, because I hope that I'm a financially responsible person. I like to think that I am. This sort of takes me off guard. Like, oh, okay, call me out. Why don't you? I guess I do have subscriptions that I've forgotten about. So that's how they get your attention. Then they move right into the interest. So why should you keep reading? What's the problem that Rocket Money solves? And that is this section here in blue. So they say, and yes, they're costing you hundreds a year. That's why you need Rocket Money. So that satisfies the interest component. Then in green, that's the desire. So what does your reader wish for or want to accomplish? Well, I do want to find and cancel those hidden subscriptions now that I know they're a thing in my life, and free trials that are costing me money and save me hundreds a year. I definitely want those results. And then they move into action. Simple, very simple, download today. So that is how you'd use this formula in action. And I'd recommend trying it out. Okay, here is one of my very favorite questions. I hear this a lot, and it is, can I use the word you, Y-O-U, or your, Y-O-U-R, in ads? And I found, just from personal experience, like a couple years ago, it was like the talk of the town. People were saying, you cannot use you in ads. People that were using you were getting their ads flagged and everything like that. now that's not so much the case. Like, I think people have realized you are allowed to use you in ads, but I think some of that older way of thinking still lingers. Like, as a freelancer, I would have clients who were a little bit adverse to using you in ads because they had heard things before about how you're not supposed to. So my answer to can you use you in ads is yes, 100% you can use you in ads. However, it does depend on how you use it. So I'd recommend using you, but following these sort of guidelines. So straight from the horse's mouth, aka Meta's mouth, this is what they say. You can use the words you and your as long as your ad doesn't mention any prohibited personal attributes and complies with our Meta advertising standards. So prohibited personal attributes are things like age and gender and like criminal record, vulnerable financial status, things like that, where if you talk about them, especially if you talk about them using you, people are going to have a poor experience on Facebook or on Instagram, wherever you're advertising, and they're probably going to exit away. Meta doesn't want them to leave the platform. And as an advertiser, you don't want them to leave the platform either. So my recommendation and Meta's recommendation for using you is don't pair you with personal attributes, with prohibited personal attributes rather. So here are some very random examples. Hopefully they just give you some inspiration or like an idea. So on the left there, I have some very much pretend, like very made up examples of what you might have in an ad with you highlighted. And then on the right are ways that I might change that to remove the you language. So the first one says, do you need a loan? We have financing available for your new business. Who knows? Meta could approve this. I am not Meta. However, you are kind of asking, or you are kind of speaking about someone's vulnerable financial status. Like, do you need a loan? You are poor, kind of thing. And you don't want to do that. So instead, I might say something like, have a new business idea? We have the funding. And then you'll notice that the second version does not use the word you or your. And it does emphasize something more positive, the new business idea, versus starting with the negative, like, poor person, you need a loan. And also, for the record, if you need a loan, that's totally fine. I would also need a loan, so don't worry. The second one says, are you a new mom ready to buy your dream home for your young family? Call us today. This is talking about someone's like familial status, family status, which family status is listed as something, excuse me, as something that is a prohibited personal attribute according to Meta. And Meta actually does have this list published on their like policy guidelines part of their site, so you can check it out. So instead of saying that, I might say, time to move, ? We make dream homes happen. Call us today. It's a little bit more generic, but you'll notice again, it doesn't use you. And you can still target the like exact person that you're looking for in your campaign setup. You don't necessarily have to say like, are you a new mom in your ad? In your ad copy rather, sorry. Okay, third example, you're over 60, so you eat for free. Age is a prohibited personal attribute, so you just want to make it a little bit more generic. Seniors eat for free. Okay, so hopefully that's clear.
We do have 2 questions here. So the first one, back to CTAs, would a landing page be a good CTA?
Yeah, I would say so. Definitely Facebook ads lead to landing pages. Jonathan can probably answer questions if you have like questions about the technical setup of that. But like landing pages, yes.
Perfect. And then the other question is, how would these attributes differ if your ads are for a nonprofit or charity?
Ooh, I actually don't know the answer to that one. I definitely start by going to Meta's like policy guidelines page and checking that out. They do have some information like for specific industries. I've personally not done a whole bunch of ads for nonprofits or charities. I don't know if you have, Jonathan, but I'd start by going to Meta as a resource.
Perfect.
Cool. Okay, here is another very random. I do not know what med spa this is. ad for a med spa. And a med spa is one of those ones too where I feel like you got to be a little bit careful because you don't want to give someone a bad experience because you're talking about their physical attributes. So you'll notice in this ad that they say things I highlighted here, like achieve the perfect pout instead of your perfect pout, enhance the natural shape of lips instead of the natural shape of your lips, add volume to plump plus shape the lips instead of your lips. So if you have this in your brain, you'll start to notice that some ads will avoid you, and this is still like a fine ad without the you. But it looks to me like this med spa is trying to be very careful about that. There we go. And actually, before I get into hooks, I just want to reiterate, you are allowed to use you. Just it's with those personal attributes where it gets a little bit trickier. Okay, some easy hook ideas. Sometimes, okay, well, hooks are like one of the most important parts of the ad, but sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the heck am I going to write? So I'm going to show you 5 different ways of approaching a hook. Like I say on the screen, they are easy. I'm sure that you've seen, if not all of them, several of them, some of them before. So the first one is the bold claim. So what you want to do is grab attention with a surprising stat, fact, or statement, something that sort of catches people off guard. So 2 examples here. The first one is from the Environmental Defense Fund. They say seaweed is a superfood, and believe it or not, feeding it to cows could help solve climate change. This is maybe a little bit longer than it needs to be, but sort of the idea of seaweed solving climate change is kind of surprising and cool. So I would categorize that as a bold claim. And then this one from the Canadian Cancer Society says 1 in 8 women are expected to be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. I'm sorry to put something so depressing in this presentation, but the numbers I think are really impactful, and this one really packs a punch. So it is a bold claim. It's a true statistic or fact, and it really grabs your attention. So if you're looking for a hook idea, one of them to try is the bold claim. And next we have the call out. You'll notice that HeyOrca does this a lot. We find it's effective for us, and a whole bunch of other brands do it. So basically what you want to do is determine who your target audience is and determine that phrase that you use to describe your target audience. For us, it's typically social media managers, social media marketers, social media managers at agencies, that sort of thing. So some examples from us here, we say, attention, social media managers for small businesses. If I'm a social media manager at a small business, I read this, I immediately know that this ad is for me. The BC SPCA says calling all animal lovers, same idea. As an animal lover, I'm like, let me read more. And then we also say, and the third example here, social media marketers, say it with us, you shouldn't be penalized for growing your team. So the social media marketer who reads this knows, ding, ding, this is for me. And also, shameless plug, you should not be penalized for growing your team. And HeyOrca offers unlimited free users on every plan. So just think about that.
Love that. Love that little placement.
Okay, the third easy hook idea is, I'm calling this the quote me. This is one of my favorite things to do. You want to think about something that you hear or something that you never hear your customers say a lot. And it does not have to be a real quote. It can be like a composite sort of quote or like a generalized quote. It should be based on reality, but it doesn't have to be like word for word real. So this Positive Real Estate, again, this is a random selection. They say, while interest rates are paused, a lot of clients are still asking, how do I pay off my home loan and still invest? If I read this and I'm asking this question too, I'm like, oh, I had the same question. I'm curious and I want to read more. I also made up 2 examples here. Lyle's Fun Fitness, TM. I'm saying here at the top, I don't have time to work out. Sound familiar? We hear that from busy professionals a lot. Here's the good news. You can make big changes in just 30 minutes a day, blah, blah, blah. So that one's made up, but the idea is this fitness business hears from their leads or their customers all the time, I don't have time to work out. If their customers are saying that, then probably their target audience is also saying or thinking that. So there's probably a connection that you can make there. And then my random Lyle's Hotel example, this is sort of like the inverse. So I'm saying, I want to pay more for my hotel stay. Said no one ever. Get the best rates when you book direct. So you're still using a quote, but this is one that your leads and your customers would never say. So yeah, you can make up the quotes. Again, they should be based in reality. And it also helps if like the rest of your copy makes it clear that this isn't a testimonial or a very much direct quote. Like you don't have to attribute it to anyone.
We do have a question here. So if you use a stat in your hook, do you usually have to cite it anywhere?
That is a really good question. I do not cite it in the ad, but I do like make a internal document for myself that has the source there. So if someone ever asks me or comments on the ad and is like, is that true? Is that a real stat or did you just make it up? I can back it up and say, here's the source.
Nice.
Cool. Okay. Another super easy hook idea. I'm calling this the picture this hook. And you basically just want to paint a picture of what the future looks like for your lead or your target audience. So instead of starting with the pain points, you really want to like immerse them and help them imagine what life looks like after they connect with you. So this is an example from a synthetic lawn company. And instead of saying, aren't you tired that your lawn is brown and the weeds are growing and your neighbors are yelling at you because your lawn is so ugly and you need to change it? Instead of saying like the pain points, they jump right into want a garden that's the envy of the neighborhood. Imagine it being green and lush, neat and tidy, mud-free, manicured, hassle-free. Then they jump into how the reader can accomplish that. So that's a lot of bullets. You probably don't need all those bullets, but the idea is you paint a picture of this happy world, and then how do you get to the happy world? Oh, we'll help you. Okay, the last easy hook idea, I'm calling this the you're still what? You ask a question, basically, involving pain points. So I like to do this. Actually, this is a good example from F45. So the first one at the top says, tired of doing the same exercises over and over. I don't know what F45's targeting is here. I don't know if this is the top of funnel or anything, but I would say that that first one would be great for top of funnel. You introduce the target audience to the problem that you're solving. And then for a middle of funnel, I love to ask a still XYZ question. So F45 says, still waiting for that perfect opportunity to get back into working out. Starting a question with still, I think is really powerful for the middle or bottom of funnel, just because you're kind of calling them out and being like, oh, like it's been a while and you're still dealing with that. Like, okay, like you had a chance to connect with us earlier, but you can still do it now because you're still dealing with it. So I like going with a still question. Cool. Okay. My second favorite question. Do I need to include my brand name in my ad copy? You can do absolutely whatever you want. And whatever your test results tell you is what you should do. So if your results have a different answer than I do, go with your results. However, my recommendation is you don't use your brand name in your ad copy because you have a limited sort of space and you want to use that to communicate your benefits as much as possible. Chances are your target audience is not going to care so much about what your brand name is. They're going to care more about what you can do for them, what you can help them achieve, and what their life is going to look like after they use your product or service. So the answer to the question, in my opinion, is you can definitely use your brand name in your copy, but you do not need to use that valuable space to communicate your benefits. But what I do see brands doing a lot is using their brand name or their logo in the creative, in your video, in your carousel, in your single image, whatever it looks like. So you'll see with these examples, and it depends on your placement too. But yeah, your picture and your brand name's already at the top of your ad. So it's already there. So it doesn't need to be in the headline, in the caption, but you can sneak it into the creative there. So like EQ Bank has their logo in their video, and this Misfits Market one, you'll notice too that it's not in the caption, it's not in the headline, but it is in their image. So if you have a client or you're working for a company that really wants the brand name in there, I would advise to sneak it in this way. Okay, headlines. Just some more inspo for you. I think like for me, for A/B testing, I would recommend A/B testing like your media part of the creative, but also headlines. So headlines are so fun to A/B test. And I have a little method that I like to use for A/B testing. And I like to test a direct headline against an indirect headline because there are very, very different ways of approaching headlines. And so because they're so different, it will hopefully give you some good data to work with. So a direct headline is a headline that clearly states the main point. It's like in the definition is it's direct. An indirect headline is more subtle, and the idea is you want to pique curiosity. Indirect headlines, typically but not always, leave a little bit more room for you to be creative and to sneak some brand voice in there. So if you are someone who values that a lot, I do, an indirect headline might be something that you sort of gravitate toward, but it's good to test both versions. So here's some examples. In pink, these would be direct headlines, and in orange, same like company, they're all made up, a same company, same offer, but an indirect version. So the first one says, get the best rate on car insurance. That's direct. Cool, I'll get the best rate. An indirect version could say something like, paying too much for car insurance? It piques your interest. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of want to find out if I am. The next one's for like hospitality, 50% off midweek stays. Cool. I know if I stay midweek, I'm getting 50% off. That's awesome. An indirect, like I said, there could be more room for creativity. You could say out of office, saving on my midweek vacay. You still get the same-ish idea across that midweek stays come with savings, but it's definitely a different approach. The third one says, enroll now to learn French fast. Very direct, cool. And an indirect version could say, yes, adults can learn French fast. I like this particularly because it kind of gives you an opportunity to address a sales objection in a subtle way, because someone might be thinking, oh, I'm an adult, I can't really learn French as fast as maybe a kid could. But no, right off the bat, you're saying, yes, you can learn French fast as an adult. And then the last one says, free guide to dermal fillers. I know exactly what I'm going to get. Awesome. Love it. And an indirect version could say, this is how fillers really work. You're going to find out when you click on it, the exact same information, but it's just a little bit different approach to get them there. So I'm not saying one version is better than the other, but your A/B test will probably tell you which version is better than the other, hopefully. So this is an approach that I take. It's not the only approach. You can take whatever approach you want, but I find that this works for me. So hopefully it gives you some inspo. Okay, how long should my ads be? I used to always ask this. So I have some. First, I'm just going to go over some, like, I don't know, just my personal thoughts on it. And then I'll try and give you some more concrete stuff. Okay, these are just my rambling thoughts. So don't I mean, you can screenshot it, but like, there's a better slide coming up, so don't worry. Okay, I just need to preface this. Obviously, your industry and your campaign objectives and your audience targeting and the results of your A/B test, all of that good stuff will override what I'm saying, and it will determine how long your ad should be, because you'll test different lengths and different lengths of ads. But generally speaking, here are some thoughts. I think most of us I just saw someone say, me already have screenshotted. That's okay. That's fine. So most of us probably are going to fall into like the short and medium category. There might be some people on this call that are writing longer ads, and that's totally fine. So short, 1 to 3 sentences-ish. I think this is a really good place to start for all industries. Generally speaking, you want to keep your ads like as short and sweet as possible. If you are in the e-commerce industry, I would highly, highly recommend just keep it short. Short, short, short. You don't even need to bother about medium or long. Short. But for everyone, short is great. Medium, I think, is really good, especially if you have benefit-focused bullet points. Again, medium can be good for all industries. I think professional services, especially, medium is good for, and especially if like your target audience requires a little bit more education. If you're bringing something new to the market, medium might be good. A long ad, I tend to save these for like a middle of funnel. Maybe I have a bunch of testimonials I want to share in the ad, or a really cool story. I think that long ads are especially effective if you're writing an ad for like a consultant, personal brand, or like if you're in the coaching sort of industry and space, long can be effective. But again, like I emphasized earlier, your campaign results and your tests and everything are going to determine the length. I would highly recommend if you're testing creatives, which you should be doing, you test short ones against medium. Maybe you pop in a long, but definitely short against medium is a good place to start.
And we do have a quick question. What is MOF?
Oh, sorry. That is a good question. Middle of funnel. So your audience is warmish. They already they're aware of you and your brand by that point, by the time they see that middle of funnel ad. Okay, so here's just an ad that I like from Reformation. You'll notice it's very, very short, and they're in e-com, of course. Well, and I guess they have physical locations, but I'm an online shopper. So it says, put me on already. I love that it personifies the product. I think that's really cool. And this would be great for the top of funnel, but also for the middle of funnel or bottom of funnel. Just because of that word already, like, oh, you've been looking at this, just do it already, put it on already. I love this ad. So I only included it here just to show you, like, you can be effective and be so short. Okay, here's the more concrete stuff for you. So how long should your ads be? The placement is going to change things depending on what placements you choose, but here are some like general guidelines. I pulled these right from Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So for Facebook, your hook, keep it as short as possible, but try not to go over 125 characters because it will get cut off and the person will have to click see more. It's totally fine if you go over 125 characters, but it's more ideal if you keep it shorter. The headline, this actually surprised me. Facebook recommends 27 characters. That's really, really hard to do. So if you're doing that, amazing. You are the best. I find that I don't like to go over 40 characters because you're allowed to, but it'll get cut off on certain placements. So keep it under 27. If you like the rules, keep it under 40 if you like to break the rules a little bit. And still get effective results. Okay. The link description, you'll definitely see link descriptions that are like super long, but Facebook recommends 27 characters. So that's hard to do. You want to keep it super short, like book now kind of copy. Instagram looks pretty similar. Hook, sweet spot's like 125 characters or less. Headline, you have 40 characters, and maximum number of hashtags is 30. LinkedIn, it differs a lot depending on the placement. So I just chose single image ads here. The hook, or what they call the introductory text, you have 150 characters. And the headline, you have 70. So you can be a little bit longer in your headline on LinkedIn. And I think this makes sense because, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure most people on LinkedIn may be on their desktop. So there's more room for that headline. So yeah, this might be a good one to screenshot. I don't know. Okay, I think that might be it for me. I'm very excited, Jonathan, for your tips.
Thanks, Lyle. So I'm going to go over best practices and dive a little bit deeper on what Lyle has already covered. So the first one was kind of talking on what you were just talking before. Should we put links in the ad copy? So I saw Josh in the comments actually say that rarely do people even click read more. So if I personally found that it doesn't really matter if you put the link in there because you already have book now, learn more, sign up, whatever your CTA is in the ad already. So people usually will click it and not really the link at the bottom, because show of hands, how many people actually read the entire ad to the bottom, you know? So chances are probably not. Doesn't matter. Another thing is the descriptive text is important. So for the people that might not know, descriptive text is the one at the bottom left here on Facebook, and it only shows up on Facebook on a very specific placement. So if you're putting on Instagram, other places, it doesn't really matter. They won't really see it either. So because, as we covered before, the most important thing I've found in the past 10 years of running ads is your creative is most important, and your headline/caption. Because if they don't even see your ad, nothing, or notice your ad, or stop scrolling, it doesn't even matter what else you have written in there. And then best campaign objective. Well, that really depends what your objective is. But for most people, if your budget is smaller, usually the best one is to go for conversions, for sales, leads, whichever one, they're about the same, because you don't have a lot of budget to spend to just put out like traffic for brand awareness, to get people to know you, depending on your business. Unless you're local and your town's kind of small, then yeah, maybe you could run like a traffic ad and show yourself to everyone in your town. But generally, if you want to get the most return for your money, you want to run a conversions ad, so you actually get your sale or a sign up or whatever the intended action is for your audience. And then going to A/B testing. So there's many ways we can A/B test, but what I like to A/B test first is the creative before the copy. Because as I mentioned earlier, if they don't even see it, it doesn't matter what you write. You can write nothing and it won't even matter. So I would split test the creative first, whether it's carousel, whether it's images, whether it's video. I like to test all separate ones, because sometimes the video works better. Sometimes, did we skip the fourth one? I'll go back to that. But before I lose my train of thought. So I like to test all separate ones, because sometimes the images work better, sometimes video will work better. Why? I don't know. Facebook just does its thing, and sometimes that's just how it is. So typically what I like to do is have 3 to 6 different creatives to test against each other, because any more than that, you're kind of overloading Facebook, their AI, and then it's too much information for them to figure out. So I like to keep it shorter. And then when something doesn't work, then I'll turn off what's not working, and then I'll put in a different creative to test against it. And then to the next point, let Facebook AI do most of the heavy lifting. So way back in the day, you would, for Facebook ads, you would have to manually adjust things, adjust budget and all those things to see what works better. But now Facebook's AI is so good and so smart that they can kind of figure out who they want to show, or who would be the best people to show your ad to. So I would let Facebook do a lot more of the heavy lifting now. And then what you need to do is to go in on the back end to make sure your ads are performing. So just a stat. When I started at HeyOrca, one of our ads to the free trial was around, I don't know if I should share this information. Actually, I'll use it. Okay.
Do it.
Yeah, Jesse says it's okay, so you can.
I'm curious.
Okay, so we were about $75 to $100 in July per free trial, for someone to sign up for free trial at HeyOrca. So I turned off all the ads that were not performing well on the back end, and within 2 weeks, we are now at about $30 per free trial. So I've cut it down by quite a bit. So that's why you can't just let Facebook AI do everything. You still have to have someone go in and make sure that Facebook is not being stupid and doing the right thing. And then for how long to test for, it really depends on your budget. If you have a larger budget, you can cut things off like in a day or two, just because of how much money is being spent. But if your budget is smaller, I would generally like to spend at least like $200 on something before to say like it sucks, it's not working. Yeah. And then
There was
what
just
type-
one quick
oh,
question here.
go
By
for it.
creative, do you mean graphics and videos?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
So anything that's images, videos, all those kind of things. Mhm. So then what kind of ads perform best? So what I found in the past 10 years is that there is actually nothing set in stone that what works best. You have to test. And that's the thing about marketing. Things always change. You always have to be testing. So just stay on your toes, always be thinking of new ideas. But in terms of the best placement, generally I find stories and feed will always work best because that's where most people spend their time. And also it takes up the most real estate on the screen. So there's nothing really else distracting you. Um, Let me backtrack a little bit. There is actually one hack I would like to share that has worked really well for me recently. So with with TikTok getting big in recent years, it has really changed how organic social media marketing has worked, right, for everybody, because because basically every platform is kind of following TikTok algorithm where it wants to show you things that are relevant to you. So what I've liked to do recently is if something performs well on TikTok, right, as organically, chances are it's going to kill it as an ad because it's already giving you data that this is already working. So that's something that I really like to do to know that something will actually perform really well because it's grabbing attention. Mm-hmm. And then what type of creative works best? I personally still like video the most because it still is the most engaging. And some people say that because it puts the user, or it makes the user spend more time on the platform. So Meta will naturally reward you a little bit more than the image. But I've also seen pictures do really well, better than video. And then meme ads, just make sure you're not copywriting something like using, I don't know, Guru or Minions, as as your ad. Usually that's gonna be a red flag for Facebook. They're gonna they're gonna they're not gonna like that, and you can potentially get your account banned for doing something like that. So I wouldn't recommend it. But otherwise, as long as the meme is not copyright, yeah, I'm pretty sure you're safe to go. And who doesn't like a meme because it looks organic, right? And what makes us stop when we're scrolling the feed? Something that kind of looks organic, that doesn't look so polished, not like it's actually an ad, because because our brains are kind of like desensitized by those kind of ads now, right? We just kind of scroll right by it. So, yeah.
Yay. Now we do have one question here from Ellie. With in-feed video, do you recommend a square or like a 9:16 ratio?
That would depend on the platform, because some of the platforms want you to do square, some of them allow you to do 9:16, and you would have to see. But generally, if you do square, it's the safest because it'll never be like, oh, it doesn't work on this platform.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jonathan and Lyle. I feel like I just learned so much, and you just blew my mind through the whole thing. So I think everyone can agree with me on that. So thank you so much.
Yay. Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here. I love reading the chat. This is my favorite.
Thanks everyone for coming.
And before we hop off, I do want to mention really quick, we noticed today that our big marker widget on our HeyOrca website is not updating. So we're going to fix that if you want to keep up with our webinars there. But next week, we're going over August social media news. So I just put the link in the chat. You can sign up there, and then you can also keep track of our webinars on our newsletter as well. So that widget will be updated. Don't worry. And yes, Jesse, if you Jesse just put the poll in the chat. So if you haven't voted on there yet, you have until tomorrow at noon. So get over there and vote, and maybe you'll win an Amazon gift card.
Woo! Love a giveaway.
Yay.
I just saw in the chat too, someone was asking about a recording. We do send the recording. Alyssa sends it on after the webinar sometime. It will get to you. When do you send it normally?
You'll get it tomorrow morning. So that sometimes it takes a little while to process, but you will get it tomorrow morning, and it will be on our YouTube channel on Monday. So you can find it many places.
Nice. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming, and I hope we see you next week. Bye, everyone.